What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Read Reviews podcast, where we talk about movies, TV shows, and video games, and pretty much whatever the fuck we want to talk about. Cody, how you doing today?
Very good.
Good. Awesome. We got beautiful weather still in Spokane. It's like we're officially in spring season, where it's like the end of spring season, where it's just nice all the time. It's like 60s and sunny for
it was
10 days
nice today.
Yeah,
super nice.
And it was I went golfing today. I had to squeeze a little bit in because it was like 72 and sunny today. Oh my god, I didn't even think about this before you got. I'm gonna do a quick little story about the dudes I was golfing with. So, me having a weird schedule and being off on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, you get either bums or you get retired old guys that are golfing at 2:00 on a Tuesday.
Nice.
So I had these 3 retired dudes. Seemed like they'd been buddies for a long time. Pretty friendly guys. Definitely just cliche old guys. Just saying some old guy shit and giving each other shit and all that stuff. But they're super fun and friendly. But we get to the second hole, and no, not even exaggeration, dude is like, man, I really missed the pisser before we started this. And as he's saying it, just fucking cock out. Right, like not behind anything, not behind a tree, not behind a golf cart, just like right by the green and just on the cart, and it just all of a sudden it's just draining and just pissing right on the fucking right, dude. It was so like, and it was straight up like, I don't know because I tried to not look exactly at it, but I think he did. He was wearing normal basketball shorts and he pulls a.
Oh,
I don't know if you could see what I did right
heinous.
There. You pull up your right short and just pull your sack out of there and
you're going from underneath.
Yeah, going from underneath, not even pulling him down. I was like, dude, there's no way. And honestly, that was the only egregious and ridiculous thing that the group did when I was golfing with them. But still, I was like, holy shit, I'm in for a round with these dudes. But that was the only insane thing that happened. And
how old were they, you think?
I think they were saying they were in their late 50s, probably. So like age of our parents, probably, I'd say. Dude just whips it out. He also was wearing a hat that said Hilliard Golf Club on it, and if you can, this dude's like bowling ball size. Like he looks. He looked like he had
ball size.
He looked like he had a beach ball in his gut. Like it looked like it could explode.
Like Randy from Trailer Park Boys.
More.
Yeah,
more, wider and more. But dude, he had massive calves. I'll tell you what, calves were out of this fucking world.
They're carrying a lot of weight.
Those big dudes, they have the most insane calves.
They're just working on holding all that shit up in the air.
Yeah, it was that was fun. But yeah, the weather's nice, times are good. We're golfing, and I'm getting with interesting characters. I have to go by myself because there's nobody that can fucking golf with me because everybody else works normal schedule, and Matt's got a baby coming, so that's like the only other person that's got kind of an open work schedule, so just rode solo. Yeah, it's fun.
Still fun, yeah.
Still had to go to work today this morning to go deliver a car, but I was only there for probably 40 minutes, so it wasn't too bad. And I have to go to work tomorrow. Yeah,
40 minutes isn't bad.
Yeah, no days. Tomorrow should be pretty quick too. But all right, let's dive into it. We're only going to talk. I'm going to go over one other thing real quick, but we got the main topic of the episode, which you'll be seeing in the title here, but I don't even really want to talk about it too much because there's not much to be said, and we did it last week. I watched the first episode of White Lotus. And I didn't even get to the second one. We watched it at like
that's
after
right.
we did the podcast.
Yeah, right after.
Yeah, so I watched it. There's not much to say. Yeah, you're right. Sydney Sweeney's super annoying. It seems like just the biggest fucking bitch ever. The dude, the dad with like being so worried about his testicular cancer and trying to bond with his really awkward, weird son. There's quirks to it. I can tell that there's a quality to the show. The cast is really fucking interesting. The performances, I think, are super good. The seed of like Sydney Sweeney and her friend or whatever making fun and laughing at Alexandria Daddario, and then she takes off her clothes and like, oh, she's hot. Now she's cool.
It's like,
I was like, okay.
Yeah, to me, like she's obviously hot.
I know that's what I'm saying. She didn't even get into a bikini to tell that she's hot.
Just
as fuck.
An extra flex is like, yeah. Well, of course she looks like that too. She looks like she takes good care of herself.
Do you know the name of the her husband, the actor?
Steve Zahn?
Steve Zahn? I'm surprised he pulled that one out. I don't know if you're right or not, but
the dad of the family.
No. The husband of Alexandria Daddario.
Oh, that dude. Yeah. Other Jim from The Office.
Yes.
I think it's Luke something, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I've seen him a few times, but yeah, he fucking sucks. Every time he's on screen, I'm annoyed because he's just so worried about this room. And it turns out they did fuck up his room, so he's right. But
got some validity.
But also, he's like, we paid for it. She's like, your mom paid for it, and all that stuff. And
I just finished. I am still watching. I just finished episode 4.
Oh, nice.
1.
Nice.
And it's like every episode definitely starts to ramp up more and more. Like the shit that happened in my episode, I was like,
yeah, I'm
holy shit.
right now, and since I haven't, and you gave me just a little bit of what you told me, but I still haven't like looked up anything. I haven't researched anything. I haven't talked to anybody about it. So right now, having just watched the first episode, it is still like I don't even know what genre of show this is. I don't know what the show is.
Yeah.
It seems like it's probably going to be a murder mystery thing, a bunch of group of people introducing them all on an island. That's probably what it is. But like as of right now, just watching that, you don't know.
It's super mysterious too. Where like mid-conversation, what feels like a normal conversation, the music kicks in and you're like, what's happening?
Yeah, you're like, what?
What's going on? And you kind of like, the tone shifts or someone says or does something that's just like, oh, this is uncomfortable now. Okay.
Yeah, and that's mostly what I was saying is like, yeah, we're not going to dive too much more into it because as of right now, for me, it's just like, yep, we could talk a little bit about those characters, but other than that, I don't know what's going on. Nothing's really happened at all.
Since what we will talk about is only weekly episode drops, and there's space between, we can kind of like potentially slowly watch White Lotus while watching Last of Us.
I think definitely.
Because like I'm only 2 more episodes in season 1 because there's only 6, and I've already had a couple times where I was very intrigued and like episodes don't even matter. Everything just flows. Like,
oh really?
I don't know. Like I've stopped multiple episodes midway through and then kind of watched all the way to the first half of another episode. And even though I did go to the next one, it doesn't even feel like it.
That makes sense. So it's not cliffhanger things.
Yeah,
it's just
like, and it kind of is. It's more, but it's always more just like mysteriousness.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that should be super easy and doable. I think we do that a little bit of trying to watch White Lotus while watching the other show, and then we also sneak in Warfare there at some point because that movie looks fucking. I'm hearing insane. I
really want to see
reviews about this movie where like people are just like, you're not gonna have a good time watching this movie.
I saw that,
but it's awesome.
The gist of what the director was trying to get across, and
Alex Garland, baby,
it could ruffle some feathers, but it was like it's completely based on the memories of the guys who were in said battle. It's completely focused.
One of them's a producer.
Yeah, it's completely focused on just showing how this squad of people, what happened in this battle, based on what is said by people who were there.
Yeah.
And it's not trying to like ham up any of the like, come on, brother, we've got a job to do. It's probably just chaos and just like survival.
One review I saw about it said that there's no music in it.
I really want
soundtrack, no music. It's just.
I feel like it's been a while since I've seen a really good military movie.
It's short. It's only an hour and a half.
Ooh,
I think.
Hour
35.
I think that's good.
There's no waste of time. It's going to feel like it's just recording the whole situation.
Going for it and just showing it. But
I'm pretty excited.
We should see that for sure.
But let's get into it. Let's talk about The Last of Us season 2, based on The Last of Us Part 2. There's so much to say about this stuff. I know that, and it's cool, kind of. I mean, it sucks because it hasn't really grown too much, but it's cool, kind of, to see that I've been like doing YouTube stuff long enough to where I did weekly reviews of the first one. Sure. Back when I was just uploading, I did take like a year and a half long break in between when I was uploading videos, and then now the podcasts and these videos. But I uploaded videos, weekly reviews of just short videos of me reviewing the entire first season. So it's kind of like. It's a little bit nostalgic for me, even just from that standpoint, because it's kind of like when I started trying to upload things to YouTube. And I fucking loved the first season of The Last of Us. At the time, I was like, oh yeah, this is one of my favorite shows of all time. Reflecting on it back a little bit, I'm like, yeah, this show is really good. It's HBO, levels of production and quality. The performances are awesome. All this stuff. I would still say it's probably in like a top 10 show of all time for me, but like I was comparing it to Avatar: The Last Airbender while I was watching it, and that is my favorite show of all time, bar none, hands down. I fucking love that show, and I was like debating on whether or not I like The Last of Us more than that at that point, but I've changed course on that quite a bit.
Let it sit for a while, and
you got to do that sometimes when it comes to these things. But yeah, I loved it. The reviews on that were amazing. People seem to unanimously love that. tough
Yeah.
word there.
It did a really good job of actually
what'd you think of it?
getting the game across on screen in
Quick timeout
a lot of the right ways.
Yeah, quick timeout because I want to get this over because I don't remember. Have you played them?
I played the first game about 75% of it.
Oh, that's crazy.
And then I never played the second game, but I
hope
am
not.
very, very much aware of
Spoilers.
yes.
Be hard
and
not to.
I think like it's just kind of like hard not to talk about The Last of Us without talking about what the controversy and like kind of the talk of that second game coming out when it came out, just because of not gonna talk about spoilers, but like there were definitely a lot of fans of the first game who, after playing the second game, there was a lot more mixed reviews. A lot more. It was not a like the first one was a like slam dunk. Everyone was like best game out this year. It's so amazing. We love it. It's so good. Two,
It's not a quality thing.
yeah, and two, if you go watch gameplay of The Last of Us Part 2, it is still one of the best looking games I've ever seen. The way it looks, it's amazing. And like how it's so cinematic in its presentation. But yeah, it's more the story and
It's all the story.
and I think we were just like right before we started recording, we're talking, I was like, I think this will be a very interesting season to watch progress because the first episode has already like we're into showing what like the show is a lot different than season 1 in certain ways, I think.
It's different than the game quite a bit too.
Yeah, that's where I'm not fully sure on the full, like, I couldn't say, like, oh, that was, I know some scene, like, the dance is in the game. Mm-hmm. I know that for sure, because I remember...
The dance was the first thing we ever saw.
I remember seeing that trailer and being like,
this is sick.
Well, did we see that on the way to E3 or something when we went?
It's very possible.
I feel like we might have. But I 100% remembered when that was happening. I was like, "This was in the game. I know this is in the even it was the way the lights are done. On the ceiling that I was like, I've seen this.
That's one of those. That's one of those shots where it's like shot for shot to the game, which is pretty cool.
So that stuff, all good. But yeah, like when it comes to the story and stuff, I think I'm a bit of going, I guess, into how I feel with episode 1. Mixed bag. Bit of a mixed bag, I'd say. It's not like, I think there's really high highs and not necessarily super low lows, but just some parts where I was like, okay, it didn't.
Do a lot of those have to do with Ellie?
It's a lot of different things.
Okay.
A lot of different things. That's where it's like.
By the way, full spoilers. I just want to say that. We're reviewing the first episode of this show.
If you haven't seen it, go see it.
Yeah.
It's good.
It is good.
It's still intriguing, and it's still like, I'm watching. I'm going to watch.
You are still watching a high-quality HBO show based off one of the better video games of all time, like the better video game series of all time.
Yeah.
So it's still high-quality shit. It's just, we're going to be breaking down and reviewing it. It's going to be full spoilers. So, and especially with this, we won't be getting into it tonight because this stuff doesn't happen yet, but especially when we get deeper into this season, you really don't want to spoil stuff for yourself if you're gonna watch it into it because there are this is one of those things where like there are spoilers. Like talking about with the Minecraft movie, there's no spoilers in that.
We're probably both in the crowd of we know more or less big plot points that are gonna happen in this season. And if you don't know what's going to happen, I definitely want people to go in as blind as possible because I want to see if the reaction is the same, and depending on how the show does it versus how the game does it, what's the reaction or how do people see, like, I just want to know what the consensus is.
Or, which some people are still talking about, if they do the things.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it is things. I know the thing that you're talking about, but there's things.
There's a lot.
And I wonder if they do them.
There's a lot that can happen. So, but yeah, I'm just as much in this weird, like, I know not everything, but I know some stuff. I'm kind of just trying to watch pretty casually and just be like, here we go.
Week to week, HBO stuff. Yeah, let's go.
I like a good week to week show. I think I like week to week more potentially. Well,
if it depends on the show. It needs to be a higher upper echelon show, like The Penguin, like House of the Dragon, like Severance. These upper echelon shows that you're gonna have the water cooler talk with. If it's just like if it's just some like mid level, like something, let's say like Castlevania on Netflix or something, that needs to just get released all at once. But if you're doing big things like that, I think the week to week is the way to go if you got people to talk about it. It's so much more fun. It builds the hype. It makes a moment for
it
months.
Builds more tension. It takes me back to like when I was working summers with my dad and would bring friends or other people to work with, but like at the time of Breaking Bad coming out and literally waiting week to week on certain episodes and being like, what is gonna happen?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's fun. So coming from me, somebody who's played the games, beaten both the games, watched the playthroughs of these games multiple times. I've probably watched the playthrough and played through The Last of Us, the first one, 5 times. The Last of Us Part 2, I've played through once and probably watched the playthrough of it twice. So I'm a pretty big Last of Us. The Last of Us, the first one, used to be one of my favorite games of all time, but I think God of War, and I have a hard time picking, but 2018 or Ragnarok has taken the place of that. I just fucking love those games. So I'm a pretty big Last of Us fan, and like I was saying before, I was really, really high on it when I was doing my reviews of season 1, and so I'm excited to be doing these again just in podcast form too, because you can really break it out and talk to somebody about it the whole time. Now I have to bring this up because I know it's a point of contention, and it was a point of contention in season 1, but it didn't bother me as much. Bella Ramsey as a casting in this is a problem for me.
Yeah,
and I hate to be one of those guys because it's like I think she's a really good actress, and I don't have anything against her. It's just, and the excuse they're making is like this is a different story. This is a different version of The Last of Us that we're telling. This is a different Joel. This is a different Ellie. I'm like, then why are we calling it The Last of Us? We're doing all that stuff. That's weird, in the weeds, excuses, nonsense shit. I don't like that. It just. She looks the same age, if not fucking younger, than she did in the first season. And she didn't get taller. She went from being 14 to 19 years old, and she's still short. The first scene,
she has tattoos.
Yeah, the tattoo concept in the game and like in this and stuff is really, really cool too, because she tattoos over her bite mark.
Yeah, to cover
which is really cool. I actually love that. But it's got to be like the first scene or something, or pretty damn close, when she's having the MMA battle with the dude in the barn.
Yeah.
Who is 6'5", probably 250 pounds, who is pulling punches, I guess, and that's why she didn't get knocked out. But she runs at him and grabs him, and then he's doing like the like it's struggling, and he's like having a hard time holding her back, and I'm like, okay. And then he just shoves her on the ground, and was like, okay, that makes sense. And then he gets on top of her, and then she does a leg lock on him and like puts him in an arm bar or something, and I'm like, I don't know. It's hard. I'm just not buying it. She's too small. She looks way too young. And I know Bella Ramsey. I'm pretty sure she's like 22 or 23 or something like that.
I had to look it up. I think she's 21.
21. Okay.
Which again, older than Ellie, than the age she's playing.
Yeah.
And quite a lot older than she played in the last season. Yet it worked.
Yeah. It worked in the last season because she was supposed to be a 14-year-old, but now that she's supposed to be a 19-year-old badass girl who can kick anybody's ass, and she's 5'2" and probably weighs 100 pounds, and it sucks to harp on these things, but it just does take me out of it, unfortunately, and it did not bother me in season 1.
I feel like
but it does bother me.
Same.
Now.
I don't know why it felt so much easier to be like, well,
because she was supposed to be a 14-year-old.
I think it is true. Like they talk about how. Okay, 5 years later, she's 19. Supposedly, you've just now lived through half a decade's worth of this post-apocalyptic craziness, and yet you're still stupid at times, like really dumb and immature. I feel like in this world, it should be like you mature faster because of the shit going on. And yeah, there's just moments where it's like, why are you still so...
Like what?
Like... I don't know.
That's always hard to just like pick it out.
The snarky comments and stuff at times... Or like, I don't know, actually, the scouting trip that they go on, and then her and the girl go in alone, and they keep going further and further. It's like, you just got told not to because the last thing you did almost caused a problem, and you're still it's like, this is life or death.
So, I get where you're coming from with that. I don't necessarily agree, and I was thinking about it because I watched the kind of funny review that they did on it, and I kind of liked that the opinion and the take that they had on it on this one, which is like, we're trying to think of this from people that have a perspective that don't live in a dystopian zombie society. Like, I know it seems weird and ridiculous, but this is probably what teenagers get excited about and want to do in the zombie apocalypse, that have grown up training to kill zombies and training to kill people and have like been fighting to survive in certain points. Like this is like them taking their parents' car out for the night and going drifting. Like, you know, and I know that seems like kind of a dumb
No,
kind of
I
excuse
think
to get
I
out,
do
but
agree. It probably goes back then to like we were just saying. I just look at her and I don't believe it then. Like it needs to Ellie how she looks in the game.
She's so cool.
Looks way so more cool. Badass and way more assertive and way more like I'm gonna get shit done and I'm not gonna fuck around.
Man, dude.
So it's definitely more believable, and I think that's where it's tough. Is like, I'm watching the girl and I'm like, there's a harsh disconnect right now with me having to be like, she can actually do this stuff.
That part I agree with.
Because I think that's where you're right. It comes from a girl where if I looked at her and I believed it, I would she can get away more with being like, I don't really give a fuck. I am that good. Yeah. But when you see what happens and I'm like, well, okay, bitch, you're dumb. Don't be dumb. Like, why are you doing that? And it just seems, I think it's something about that's tough. And then to go into more of like the way certain characters right now are well, I guess one thing is like if we want to get crazy with the game too, and we're talking about believability in certain regards. We don't know much about is her name Abby. Mm-hmm. And I almost don't even want to go too far into the details because of just like the way this character looks compared to how she looks in the game is a lot different from certain perspectives.
It's the most different that it could possibly be.
And depending on what the show goes, like how it keeps going and whatnot, I think will just be another thing to be like, do I really buy this? That this character is like capable of being like this and doing any of these things.
In the games, Abby and Ellie are super fucking badass women, and it's like one of these cases where like they did women right in a game and they made them badass for a reason, and it makes sense and it's cool and it's awesome.
The way Abby looks in the game looks like a chick who survived in the post apocalyptic zombie world.
She looks like a man.
She's jacked.
She's jacked.
She wears like cut off sleeves is ripped as fuck.
And I wonder if you remember this. The first ever trailer that was like cinematic kind of trailer. I'm pretty sure the dancing room scene was the first time we ever saw like gameplay of The Last of Us and like in-game engine. But the first ever trailer that was released we didn't know it at the time. We were actually thinking that it was Ellie's mom, but it was Abby being hung up in a tree and being like tortured by this certain group of people, and then these couple other people come in and save her. And I remember because this one of the bad guys, quote unquote, that's the awesome thing about Last of Us, everybody's gray, but one of the bad guys in this scene has a hammer and just smashes somebody's elbow and just smashes their other elbow, and it's called clipping their wings. And I remember that was the first ever trailer that came out for The Last of Us 2, and we all remember just being like, holy shit, this is going to be insane, because it looked amazing. We're introducing this new character. We're like, oh, is it Ellie's mom? Is this like a flashback? What is it? Blah, 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 all this stuff. It was really cool. Turns out that was Abby. But the whole thing in it was like, holy shit, this lady's a fucking Hulk.
She's a tank.
She's a Hulk.
Fucking unit.
I wish I remembered what her name is, but the girl who's playing Abby now, she's not. She's a very normal looking girl.
Normal, just complete, like not even like anything.
And when it comes to the games, and it was really cool too, because they physically made the two characters play different, because Ellie is a lot quicker and has her butterfly knife, and she's a lot more nimble and she can move around a lot quicker, and she'll kill clickers and kill zombies and people from stabbing them in the neck and sneaking up behind them. Whereas Abby, she moves a lot slower, but she's a lot more hulking and seems like she can take more damage, and she goes up and she just strangles people. She doesn't stab them. Like, they play different, and it plays a purpose with the gameplay, and it's really cool for that. And that one, to me, I remember seeing the casting. I'm like, okay, hopefully she gets jacked and beefed up. She did not.
She did not, yeah. It's too early even to probably say too much, because I haven't seen enough.
Well, but I feel like I don't know, that was just such a big part. Like that's one of those things where it's like, oh, it's a staple from the game that we don't have now in the adaptation. And again, the lazy thing of saying, oh, these are different versions of the characters.
I was thinking about this while watching. I'm just curious to hear what you think. But like, I guess I'm fascinated by the idea how video game adaptations, like Video games, you have to play. You literally have a controller in your hand and you're playing. So a huge benefit, I think, to The Last of Us game is the fact that no matter what the story even is, if the gameplay is good, sweet.
Yeah.
Take away all the gameplay now and just giving the story. I'm kind of finding out maybe more and more of like, how do I feel about this? Maybe, I don't know. I wish this is a tough one with like zombie stuff because so much of zombie games is like the survival aspect of just like tough scenarios where you have to get through unscathed and things like that. And then intermittent story beats and breaks to kind of give background, make you connect with the characters more, to have some sort of emotional impact probably at different points. But the difference of me not being able to play and just sitting back and watching the story is just kind of like interesting now. It's a weird experience, I think, with a game like this.
It's I don't know, and that's why it's interesting. The Last of Us is different. Oh my God, there's just so much going on in my brain right now because I'm thinking about the God of War show that they're making. The Last of Us, because I'm thinking about two super, super cinematic single-player video games, the God of War and The Last of Us. They can translate to movies and TV a lot better because they're so cinematic. Mm-hmm. Like, I guess, for example, Mario and the Minecraft movie. Mario did it well and made something fun out of it. The Minecraft movie, that's a hard adaptation to do because there's no like story and it's not very cinematic. It's just for the memes, just for the chicken jockey. Like, it's just for that shit. Whereas The Last of Us and God of War can be made into actual, real, amazing stories because they're so cinematic. And The Last of Us Season 1 proved that. And I know that the gameplay is a huge aspect of it, and so it's always interesting to see if they can change the adaptation into a movie or TV show. But they proved it, so like I think that they should be able to do it again, but I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going with this, but it's just...
one episode in, so a lot of this is just kind of speculation where I'm just like, I'm more curious to see how it plays out. I'm going to end up watching all of it.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'll just be curious. Well, and I keep hearing, like, odds of them continuing, like, Season 2 gets... Or the
Season
second
3's already approved.
Yeah, so the second game getting taken to Season 3. So they're splitting it into 2 parts.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay... that's a lot different than how Season 1 went. Season 1, I think, holds on so well because that first game and the pacing with Season 1 was, like, perfect. It was just like, yeah, here we go. No, just every episode had something good to do, something to say.
Yeah.
And now we're going to draw this second game out, which was already controversial, into 2 seasons, let alone... So that means we have to be adding things in. I don't think so. I think this is good. This season's only 7 episodes. Season 1 was 9. 7 episodes. Whoa.
I think this is good. The Last of Us 2 is probably 2.5 times as long as the first game. And there are several, maybe not several, but probably 2 points in The Last of Us 2 where I think it should have just ended. And you should have at least saved that stuff for the other game or like whatever. There are very hard stop points in there where you're like, okay, this is where the game ends. And then you're like, oh, we have a whole nother, like, almost feels like 2 epilogue type things in it. So... I don't think the game, if you want to treat it well, could be fit into 1 season. I think it's good that they do 2 seasons. If there's 7 episode seasons, I wouldn't even be upset if a season, like 3 seasons. Honestly, it is hefty. There is a lot in The Last of Us 2. It is long.
I didn't even realize it's a shorter episode count for this season.
Yeah, shorter episode count. The first episode, which usually those are longer, was only about 50 minutes, I think. Maybe a little bit less. I don't know, of runtime. So I think that's okay, and they are planning, and they know, and at least there's talks about this. I've just heard from the Kind of Funny review, and then a couple of other podcasts that I've been listening to talking about it. Is that they are planning to they're not making the mistake of Game of Thrones where they're getting ahead of the source material. So like if Last of Us Part 3 is coming out, they're planning to take a couple of year gaps between seasons, potentially make it into 3 seasons for The Last of Us Part 2, and hopefully plan that The Last of Us Part 3 has come out by like, I don't know, 2028 or 2023.
Is there a third game?
I don't think it's official. I think from what people are saying and leaning to, it's like yeah, it's happening. It's already in production, but it's not like announced or anything like that.
It's been a while.
It is, yeah.
When did this come out?
Well,
Part 2 come out?
Part 2 came out 2022, I want to... No. I'll look it up. But there was like 10 years between part 1 and part 2. Part 1 came out in like 2012.
I guess I think it was probably like 2018 or 2019.
Yeah, I was way off. It's definitely not 22. Last of Us part 2. 2020.
Oh god.
Yeah, it came out during COVID. That's right. I remember that. Yeah, so that took, let's see. What?
That's probably a PC.
Yeah, that's
or
the remake.
That was a remake.
That's a remaster. So 2013. So it took 7 years for the first game to come out and then the second game to come out, and games are taking way longer now. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a decade before the next one comes out. So 2030, 2029, 2030. I know it's a long time.
These long ass timelines are
it is draining.
Annoying.
Yeah, but to make these big, giant, crazy, expensive things, I guess, I don't know, whatever, that's their excuse. But
well, it'll be 12 years since GTA 5, so, and that's if it comes out this year.
Yeah, if it comes out. I think it will. I think if we're at this point and they haven't delayed or anything, they also still haven't shown us a trailer. But anyways, let's not get too off in a tangent there. But what I'm getting at there is that I actually don't mind that I don't think it's a drawn out. I don't think it's a stretching out. I think that it's necessary to tell the story properly for Last of Us Part 2. It's fucking long, dude. And which sucks because that means we're going to have to wait to see all the crazy shit that happens and people are going to experience... It'll be interesting to see how people react to things differently because with the game, obviously, we got to experience it all at once. But if people have to experience it in 2 to 3 parts now, I'm wondering how they'll kind of react to it and what they'll think about it.
Yeah.
But let's talk about, so since which is just kind of what happens when you review stuff. You start with kind of the critiques, but let's talk about the positives because there's a lot of them in the show. I still think that this was an awesome episode of TV. The least favorite part of it for me is just the Bella Ramsey stuff. It bothers me. She seems more angsty, more annoying. The the casting just doesn't make sense for me. Her looking young, all the stuff that we talked about. But my God, everything else is so good. I think the Dina actress is fantastic, way better than I was expecting her to be. I feel like this is a rare one. I think that she does Dina better in this than she does in the game. I didn't really like Dina or care about Dina too much in the game. I won't even say that. I didn't care as much as I like Dina in this episode. Yeah, and I like what she is. Pedro Pascal, still amazing. I think most of the other characters, we haven't seen too much in depth with other characters there, but the therapy scene is so fucking good. Is like top tier acting stuff, like what you expect out of HBO, and it's like nice to see Pedro be able to show his stuff again because I feel like he's done a lot of bullshit movies lately where it's just like fun movies or just nonsense, but to see him really do some acting chops with what's her name, Catherine what? The therapist? O'Hara, that's what it is. I always want to say Ohan or something. Like, that's not right. Catherine O'Hara. And like just diving into that therapy session where they start off with them drinking whiskey. You're like, this is a weird therapy session. And then her just diving into her whole thing where like I'm assuming Joel had to shoot her husband because he got infected or something. I'm guessing that's what it is. Yeah. And then and he's like, "Oh, this isn't your first glass of whiskey, is it today?" And she's like, "No, it's not." And then she's like, "I fucking hate you. I fucking hate you for what you did and you're a piece of shit. Now tell me what you did and what you're upset about." And then he starts crying and welling up like he's almost about to say something, and then he just says, "I saved her," or whatever, and walks out. I'm like, I was tense during this scene. This shit was good. I really like that.
I love anything that gets back to the father-daughter dynamic and Joel and exploring Joel's like just struggle to actually like ever open up. I mean, he has to open up at some point about the things that he's lied about, but he can't really because it's pretty bad and detrimental to him, but it's going to come out at some point probably because we know someone's hot on their trail who's going to show up. They're literally on their mission is to go find Joel and take him out. And I do like getting to see the moments of like the head on, like that's why the show exists, I think, is for some of these moments that the game probably didn't get to explore more because you are supposed to just be playing more. And now they can take some of the slower times to be like, let's explore Joel's thoughts here.
So it's hard for me to remember because it was a while ago, but Eugene, Catherine's fucking husband, that's an interesting one. And it's cool because like in video games, you can discover story beats and learn things by just walking around the environment, picking up notebooks, reading stuff on the wall, reading letters people write to each other. Eugene, I'm pretty sure, her husband, in the game, I don't think I don't think you see him. I think he's a character you learn about through reading notes and stuff, and like he runs a grow up for like weed in this universe.
Nice.
Which apparently you would think about it, people in this universe, they probably always want to be fucked up because of the stuff they got to deal with. So I bet weed's a pretty hot commodity.
That's what she gets for her payment.
Exactly. And I saw that tie into it. I was like, oh, that's interesting that they're just doing it in a slightly different way and like bringing it into the story, because in the game it could be a hit or miss thing that you find, like, because you could just walk right past it, but in this they force it in there and put it in there. But the therapist, she doesn't even exist in the game. Like, that's not a thing. Joel's not in therapy.
Yeah.
And I did remember thinking, I was like, they're gonna have Joel going to fucking therapy. And then when I watched the scene, I was like, oh, they did a Last of Us version of therapy. Like, this was cool.
I mean, I would imagine in that world, even a therapist in that day and age would be like, all right, let's kind of cut the bullshit. Let's get to it. Okay. We've all got our stuff to do. This world is not what it used to be.
Yeah.
Maybe she is like a licensed therapist, but I think to some extent you might just grab someone and be like, who's the most willing to do this? Yeah. Someone's like, I'll do it. It's like, all right, let's talk.
Yeah.
Literally, I don't know how else to do this, but let's figure it out.
Yeah, it's I think that Jackson is fucking dope. I love seeing this world. I love seeing like how they build it. Also in the show, it feels way bigger than it does in the game. Like it feels like this could potentially be like thousands of people, whereas in the game I feel like it's like in probably maybe like the high 100s or something like that. I don't know. Again, it's still hard to remember because I haven't played this game or watched a playthrough of it in years, probably 3 years plus, something like that. So it's hard to actually remember everything. But yeah, it does feel bigger and more realized. I like the idea of them introducing infected that are more intelligent just because they've been around for longer. I kind of like that idea that it just grows and multiplies and like the virus adapts and changes. I think that stuff's cool because it adds a whole nother dynamic while they're already having to deal with other factions and people hunting them down and having to deal with other humans in the world.
Is that not in the game?
It's in the game.
It is?
Okay. Yeah, but the spore thing, that's right, I forgot about this. The spore thing being in the pipes, because I forgot that was a new thing they introduced, because that wasn't a thing in the games where like you walk over spores or like you touch them or something, they get notified and it's like a neural network and that's what brings a horde to you. Because we've seen in trailers that like a horde rushes the town, or at least it seems like it's Jackson. So
I don't know. By the end of episode 1, with the busted pipes open and that thing coming in, there's only one thing you should be thinking, and it's that it's not going to go well for much longer.
Yeah, which is interesting because Jackson doesn't ever get like invaded or attacked or anything. It's a lot more like just Ellie focused. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. That should be a cool like big giant action scene. I was listening to, like I said, a couple of podcasts there, and they're thinking like, never mind, can't say that stuff. Never mind. They're thinking a certain story beat will go a totally different way because of this horde coming in, which I think it should be super interesting. And the one big thing I wanted to tell you about, because it's so fucking insane, is that, and I know we released this during this on purpose, but Colin Moriarty, that guy with the PlayStation podcast who was on Kind of Funny, I'll talk about him pretty often, but he released a 7-hour podcast reviewing and talking and doing a deep dive with his brother on The Last of Us 2, the video game. Whoa. So I have been listening to that. I'm probably Jesus Christ. 2.5 hours in, and I love it. I love it.
I could do that with I can't do that with certain why make Red Dead Redemption something?
It's funny because they mentioned Red Dead in that. Like,
make it into something it is begging to be made into a show on it more than anything, because it needs to have the time. If you want to if they're gonna do beat for beat like this, it would. That's also another one where you're like The Last of Us and some of these others where you like playing it, you're like, man, this is such like a good story. It's like a movie. It's like a really long playable movie in the coolest way ever. Like there's so many moments in The Last of Us where like set piece moments and different cool things and like all the different types of zombies, let alone the actual story beats with. They were smart enough to put a story in it that was like a story.
Yeah.
Like anything that was more than the zombies, and just like go to quest markers.
Yeah.
There's Joel and Ellie, a whole plot device you can use to drive everyone to go further.
I like that you bring up Red Dead with that because it's funny because they make that same comparison. They're like, there's only a few things that like come to mind that you can like do like this and that you can break down like this and that can be adapted like this. And they're like, Red Dead 2 is one of those. Is one of those.
I mean, I don't know how many like story missions are in the game, but it's like if you sit down with every story, once you know the whole story, it's one of those games where you actually sit back and you watch during cutscenes because it's about like a gang and there's like a lot of people in this gang, like anywhere from probably 10 to 20. I'm not sure. 10 to 15 people, maybe 15 to 20. Who knows? Either way.
Somewhere, number.
But all people who like dedicated, like lots of dialogue. You kind of need to know who they are to have a feeling of the relationships and stuff because once you get to the end of the game and then go back and replay it, you'll sit back and like characters react to things that are said and are making like comments that are said slyly in the background that are like foreshadowing.
That's world like, that's world building stuff.
Insane levels of like, oh my gosh, this happens at this point in the game, or like that character just said that, and I now know that like seeing like a relationship develop just over time. It's one of those things where I watch it and I play it and I'm like, every quest and mission I do is like its own TV episode, basically.
That's sick.
It's like its own little
Western TV episode.
Yeah, it's so cool. So like, and Last of Us is another one where it's just such a good story that you can do so much. You can get really, really deep into like such a heavy plot, narrative-driven game like this because as long as you stick to your guns, where it's like first season, I think will still always be as good as it was because there's only so many side characters, but Joel and Ellie just like are the driving force.
God, I'm so excited to see how this
and like I think what's being shown now is clearly there's a lot of characters in this first episode. Like it's kind of a lot of new people and it's just a lot's different. You're living in an actual town and they're doing things. And it's a different vibe, like a very on purpose.
Yeah, it's like, introducing you to the world and stuff. And
yeah.
I guess that's another reason why I'm pretty nervous about like how they go about this and why I'm nervous about Bella Ramsey being Ellie, is that this is like the first game is like a lot more of Joel's story. This game is a lot more of like Ellie's story.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm nervous because I'm like, oh, it's going to be a lot more heavy on Bella Ramsey.
Yeah.
And I'm nervous about that. And like I said, I think she does do a good job at what she's been given. But I don't like this version of Ellie. It doesn't feel like Ellie from the games. We already talked about the look and character stuff. I won't keep harping on that. But like, she does not feel the same.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree. I wouldn't know how to quite put my finger on it, but like something's different or feels different, and it's not coming across the same.
Yeah.
So.
And yeah.
Maybe that's again like they are in a mindset of like, hey, things are safe, so she feels like I can just be like a kid, like truly be a kid, to some extent, even though I'm older. But like, she's never had this type of freedom, and now we're seeing her in this environment of true like, she trusts everyone around her. She like the idea that her and Joel are just like the therapist is literally like, oh, boo-hoo, my 19-year-old daughter hates me. Okay, so it happens to everyone, dude.
Yeah, but she doesn't know the context.
Exactly.
And so this is...
But it is kind of true to some extent,
it is,
I'd say. It is like pretty much kind of hitting it on the head of like, it is mixed in with real things, but it probably does come out in different ways because she's just still a kid.
I want to ask this because I meant to ask you this earlier, but I forgot. What was your interpretation of, because the first scene I think is actually, and I must have mixed this up from earlier, but I think the opening scene of the show is them at the end of last season,
and then just like a bit after they show.
Yeah, and Joel or Ellie asked Joel, and he's like, "You're promising me whatever she says. You're promising me that I was the only one in you, and they told me I was good to go." Or whatever. And
everything you say about the Fireflies is true.
Yeah, and he says yes, and then she has that pause, and then she goes, "Okay." Yeah. What was your interpretation of that?
It's definitely like she's very aware something happened. She's not fully. She doesn't. I don't think she's like can quite be like I can say that this is what you did. But I think she's 100% in that moment. That is just acceptance of his answer, but it is not believing in his answer.
100%. That's how I thought. I thought even more like she's full on like, yeah, I think you're just lying, and I think that I guess you just
it's
said
an acceptance to just be like, I think after what you've just said and shown me, it's in my best interest to just go along with you.
Yeah.
Because if what I'm thinking happened, let's just not. I don't want to see that side.
Yeah, and that's probably going to lead into like why they're separated now at this point. But that gets me into why they're not as close now, and like why they are where they are. But that brings me to another point that I wanted to bring up is like, which I think does. I don't know. It's kind of a cop out because they don't explain it. It doesn't seem blatant in the story, and it's just kind of something I thought about when I was watching it. But the reason she's so stupid, the reason she's so reckless, the reason she's not scared, the reason that she goes into these situations and is like whatever, I think that she thinks that she probably should have died or like something should have happened. I feel like there's a little bit of that in her. And this is just complete like. This is even with me knowing things, and like this is not
just kind of.
No, it doesn't have to do with that stuff. This is like my interpretation of seeing this in the show because it's a little bit different than how they did in the video games, like how they pace the scenes and how they show them, and like where they put us where we're at here now, and like making it just basically a bit more than it was in the video game. And like why I was saying that she's a little bit more annoying in this, why she does do stupid shit. She might be a little suicidal, but I don't like. Maybe she might just not feel like she's in this world. And I don't know. It's still too early to see in this, and I want to see how they flesh it out and how they change it a little bit later.
I hope I don't really know if the game does this, and I don't know if the show would do it either. But I think like touching on or getting on like themes of she's having to hide the fact that she's who she is.
Yeah,
like,
that too.
Like
we didn't even talk about the bite thing.
Yeah, in the store. Okay, also I want to say my favorite parts still of the show are the zombie moments.
Yeah.
They are done so well. The whole like as much as I bitched about Ellie's choice to go in to the store and her friend, I was still hyped to be like, okay, let's get some fun. Let's fucking do it. Yeah. And getting all the like they planned their little route to throw the ball. I like it's totally how it feels in a game. You look down, there's a bottle on the ground.
They really...
In a zombie game, you better know that any glass object is probably used as a distraction device or to draw and lure them to a spot. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what they do to get both of them at a convenient, coordinated attack. Sick. I like the slide. I kind of knew it was going to happen because they slyly put the creaking floorboard that she steps on before, and it's like,
I didn't realize that. I thought that was just going to be a scaring the clicker and coming to her, not the floor is giving out.
Either way, they did a slight creak of the floorboard, and then she goes back, falls through when her friend gets there. Friend obviously has to now find a way down there, and it takes some time, but they do like, it's just like a horror movie, basically. And they do some of my favorite kinds of shots where it was like, we're focused on Ellie. Ellie's just looking around trying to find stuff. You should probably know, like, there's something in there. Something's got to be in there.
Yeah, of course, even though you don't hear anything.
Yeah, you don't really hear anything, but then, after a few minutes, there's, like, just a certain shot at some point where you see the shelving way behind her on the wall, and there's one just, like, crawling across, just like a fucking spider.
Yeah,
just,
a little different.
Like, going across, it's like, oh, shit.
It was scary.
And then they're, like...
Even though it was light.
They did a good job of showing that this zombie was literally stalking her like a giant like big cat or something would, like very slowly staying behind her out of sight, like the camera shot where she's walking aisle to aisle and you get the perfect timing of the angle is so we can see that Ellie is just past the wall so she wouldn't see, and the zombie's timing it perfectly to be on the other side just going right behind her in step for like 3 aisles worth. And then at the 4th one, she's gone. And then you just see her, and she's like this crazy, like, I don't know. The way she looked was like almost alive. Like
looks like she fought the bear. She had like
it was like remnants of like there was so much remnants of what felt like a person there still. And maybe I just haven't seen the other. The clickers are so different looking than the regular zombies because their faces are just fucking.
The fungus is grown out on them. Yeah,
they're just insane. But her like crazy zombie. Well, is she imitating like a crying noise on purpose, like to lure her in?
I don't know. I didn't even think about that.
I felt like it kind of almost sounded like for one, she was smart enough to not charge her. she like sits
That was
there.
freaky.
She's like, fucking run at me, and it just runs away.
Run at me, motherfucker!
Yeah, runs away. Cool. Now they're getting they are getting smarter. They know better than to just mindlessly walk in. So I think that's kind of stuff I'm more psyched about than anything. Is some of those developments of like, ooh, new zombie stuff, but all the action and zombie stuff I'm always about.
Yeah, it's fun. Hard turn from that. This is a very different part of the show. But we didn't even like fully delve into the dance scene, which is iconic and fucking cool. And I think it's done way better in the game, I think. But it's still good in this.
It comes back to the whole thing that we're so disconnected on Bella Ramsey.
Yeah.
And this part is definitely a disconnect because, I don't know, someone like me watching, the girl's a really good actress, like you're saying, this Dina girl, because I'm still watching. And I'm like, damn, she's really liking this girl, even though I just don't believe it.
Yeah.
Like, there's just...
I believe it from her side. I don't believe it from Bella Ramsey necessarily.
Yeah, like, the good writing and stuff, I don't mind the lines of, like, well, I'm not a threat to you. And her being like, how do you know? Like, you can't be for sure. And she's like... It wouldn't matter, blah blah blah. And
says I think you're the biggest threat.
Yeah,
and then
I think
you're fucking
the biggest threat, and then they actually just fucking make out. Now, how long have they been friends? I guess
years.
We're hopping into this dynamic of their relationships at a certain time period, so it is kind of like, whoa, okay, making out on the dance floor.
I think it does, and God, I can't quite remember if that's how they do it in the game. But it does kind of set a weird precedent in the show with the way they do it, because she comes in and sees Joel fixing the whatever electrical thing, and she says, yeah, you're Ellie's best friend, you should know, or whatever. And they really play it off as them as like just like really close best friends for a while, until they get a little bit frisky when they're on the horses and going into the building. Yeah, and they do like, you should go with me, or like, and then she's talking about like, oh, why don't you go with Kat or Kate or whatever her name is? She's the other one, insinuating she's the other lesbian. And then they just jump to them being at the dance and making out. And I was like,
it's
a little bit better in the game.
It definitely felt fast and rushed a little bit. It's like we had to get told all within the first hour of the show. Okay, so Dina and her are quote unquote best friends. Is how it's stated at the start. And then you find out, oh, Dina and the Asian dude are broken up now. And that sounds very recent. Like it just happened. Very recent, yeah. So she's fresh off a breakup.
They break up, get back together, break up, get back together. They're one of those things.
One of those off and on. So it's like alluding to, the reason we've never committed is because I am actually gay. Or like, it's
no, she's bisexual.
Not. All right, so I'm bi. So I haven't tried the other side yet. Let's try it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just felt kind of fast. And it's fine. She's like getting established pretty early on as like a main character almost. Mm-hmm. And like, she's going to have screen time. There's going to be more time to develop stuff with this and whatnot. And yeah, it's just tough to believe, I guess.
It was a little more rushed in this. I still thought that it was really good. I still thought that it was a really good scene in the dance thing. I don't like Jesse that much as the performance, or maybe it's the lines, whatever it is. Jesse's the Asian guy who was with Dina.
He's in Beef.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that show with Steven. Yeah.
Interesting. I don't think he seems very that's the one acting performance in this where I was like, I don't know if it's the direction or what it is, but you seem like you are just barely putting in effort and barely saying things. Really? And he comes into her when he's like got the drink and he's like, man, I hate these things. And I'm like, I don't feel like you're giving me much. And even when he's giving them the directions when they're supposed to go out on the trip or whatever. But I do like when they recreate the scene, because it's just like they do it in the game, where she comes over and asks Ellie to dance, and she's like, you're so drunk. And it's like, no, I'm baked. I've smoked a lot or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Because weed's a big thing in this game and in this town and stuff. And then they, like you said, I like the dialogue and I like the lines. I like the performance from Dina, the Bella Ramsey. Again, I still don't think it's a bad performance. It sucks because I just don't buy her as Ellie. That part sucks, and I really want to. And I hate to harp on that stuff, but it bothers me, and it just does. And then they make out, and then they're kissing a little bit at first. It's just like, oh, okay, nice. And then they do start making out a little bit too much, and they're like, okay, we are in just the middle of this thing. You're not gonna fuck in the middle of this dance floor. And then the old guy, his name's Seth. He's the bartender in the town, and he comes over and he's like, guys, this is a family event. Come on. And you're like, oh, okay, that seems normal. Like, okay, you don't need to be grinding and making out in the middle of the dance floor. And then he keeps staring at him, and they're like, oh, sorry. And then they hit him with the sorry again, and then he keeps looking at him, and then they start walking away, and he hits him with the like fucking dikes or whatever, which is the same thing that happens in the game. And then Joel comes over and shoves him over, and then it's just so sad. And I think Pedro Pascal does such a good job of showing it when he shoves him over and asks Ellie if she's okay, and she just says, "You don't have to fucking protect me," or whatever she says to him, and he's like, "Okay," and he seems so saddened. I just feel for him. I'm like, oh man, and me just knowing everything and being such a big fan of it, and I'm like, I think Pedro Pascal does a really good job of like showing the Joel emotion and like how upset that he is that Ellie like doesn't like him as being a teenager and hates him for all this stuff, and that'll play into other stuff that you figure out later too. That's what I like so much about that kind of dance New Year's scene or whatever. Mm-hmm. It was kind of weird and interesting that they. Nah, never mind. I don't want to say that. I won't dive in.
Yeah, it was mixed bag. I could feel myself. You're right. When like any time it got back to like Bella Ramsey having to talk about stuff, I was just like, come on, like
get off the street.
Let's go.
That's going to be a real problem later in the season.
I'm scared a little bit. I'm not saying it's like. We'll have to see.
It's good.
Yeah,
it's good. I still, I don't know. I like doing the ranking things. I still give this probably an 8.5 out of 10. I like this episode a lot. I thought it was a pretty good interpretation. There's little things that I didn't like. The biggest thing being the Bella Ramsey, but I think little things that they're changing here and there I like a lot too. Overall, I'm really excited to keep watching this week to week and sprinkling a little White Lotus.
Yeah, it's like I think I'd probably give it. Yeah, probably like an 8. I don't know why I'm hovering to 7. I don't know why I'm wanting to be so harsh on it.
Then you can hit a 7.5.
Yeah, I guess 7.5.
There you go.
But it's like because I remember season 1's first episode. It's like 10 out of 10. That was like such a good pilot.
Well, and that's like really close and similar to the intro of the game of The Last of Us, which is so fucking so much.
I feel like all you have to do is play the intro to that game, and whoever's like the movie guy watching it was like, why aren't we making this?
Yeah,
like just that intro alone, it was like this is good. This is really good.
It's really good.
So it's hard to like if I'm comparing it to season 1, it's like that's tough. That first episode is so well done and has so much going for it that was already laid. Like they didn't have to do anything. The game already like had them set up. But in this, I think we're exploring more of like how the show's taking on new ideas and things, and will be interesting to see how it develops and certain stuff. Like
on top of this being way bigger and way more, you have to introduce a lot. You have to show a lot more. There's going to be, just for people that don't know, it's just a lot more. This game is a lot more.
I mean, we're already seeing like elements.
The world is bigger.
Yeah, just like I think they did a good job with like we're already seeing like the town council and how they just like talk about how the clicker scenario. It's like I think that's interesting. I'm kind of into like seeing stuff in this world. People, there does need to be like there's going to be some form of a government of some sort, like a group of people who have to converge and make like some call on something, but like
you'll
get majority opinion.
It's cool. They do introduce a lot of things, whether it's like new like people group factions or like new zombie stuff, like they hinted at here that we already saw, and just new areas, new things. Like it's a lot, and it's a lot bigger, and it's cool. So, I mean, at least if they even stick to the games, we'll see like how close they stick to it.
Yeah, that's always where it is. And I will say though, for video game adaptations too, I don't know if did you watch the Fallout show?
Yes.
Season 2 for that, which I know they've already alluded to at the end of it.
It was real popular.
And like, I'm not gonna lie, I need to rewatch it. But thinking back in terms of a video game adaptation, that show was so good.
The show was so fun.
It was so fun, and I think that's probably why I say out of a video game adaptation. Video games to me, at their core, supposed to be fun to some extent. And
Last of Us is not one of those.
The game is fun.
Yeah.
And then you get an extra dosage of like, if you're of a certain age, you can get way more out of this through the story too.
The Last of Us universe is not a fun place. It is very
not
dark
at all.
And depressing.
It's
and sad.
so dark.
Yeah.
And like Fallout, though, I keep thinking I don't know when that's supposed to come back on, but season 2 is gonna like It's how these shows interpret video games, like franchises. Last of Us makes sense. There's just a story with like a start and a finish.
It's very cinematic, like I was saying before.
You
That's why I was so impressed with the Fallout one.
Yeah, you hit your story beats. You're gonna get to the places you got to get to, and you'll see the things you need to see. A game like Fallout, there's like 4 or 5 different Fallout games, and they all have a unique story. It's in the same universe with the same ideas. It's like you can do whatever you want, and that show's just fun as fuck, and just takes all the ways that the game is fun and puts it on screen in very entertaining ways.
Yeah.
And now they're gonna like, if they do this like this show in a way where every season explores different areas of like, we started in California for the first season, and now
No, he started in Boston.
that's the game.
Oh, sorry, we're talking about Fallout.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
bad. I was talking about The Last of Us.
No, from Fallout, and then they're gonna try and push over to. I mean, if you're like a fan of the games, and some people would know it, but like Fallout New Vegas, which is set in like a different version of Vegas after the nukes had gone off or something, and it's gonna be sick. So I've already seen set pictures, I think, of stuff that they've designed. And I'm like, this is sick. So video game shows still hype. Movies could be better.
Yeah. Dude, the movies are really struggling. We'll see, though. Maybe Warfare will be fucking awesome.
Yeah,
bring
like,
that up.
what's like that got on? I don't like using this, but it is.
I think it's okay when you look at the audience score.
Yeah, like what's Rotten Tomatoes at? Whoa, it actually sits at a 93%.
Damn, audience?
Both the same, actually.
Really?
That's
really
crazy. That's actually
okay. We got a movie on our hands, baby.
That,
let's go. So yeah, let's wrap it up here, everybody. Watch The Last of Us. We're going to be doing it week to week. The White Lotus, if you've been watching that, most of you are probably caught up on it if you're actually watching it. Cody and I are just starting it for the first time. But
yeah, we're behind.
Yeah, but Last of Us is going to be week to week, and I'm really excited about it. I'm so happy to have this stuff back and to have another week to week show to watch right after Severance Season 2 ended, and we're just diving right back into it. Hopefully we're going to get a good movie going in and watching Warfare. We'll be talking about that. That's going to be really interesting. So a lot of fun stuff coming in. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you are watching The Last of Us, or even if you're interested in it, if you played the games, if you got any opinions on it, leave a comment down below and let us know what's going on, what you're thinking about it. And stay tuned to see the more content that we got coming in. For that, we can wrap up and say have a good rest of your day. Bye.